All right. We've got a couple more folks trickling in. I see them coming in now. So, good morning, everybody. My name is Elena Boyd. If this is your first time with us on our Daring to Learn webinars, I am a extension assistant in the Center for Profitable Agriculture, and this is our July session for Daring to Learn. We've got our speaker this morning, Mr. David Yates from the UT Extension Eastern Region office. He's going to be talking about Adobe Express, a graphic design program this morning. So I will go ahead and give him a second to kind of talk a little bit about himself, and then I will let him take over.
Sure. Thanks, Elena. Thank you for attending, whether you're live or sometime in the future. I am an area specialist, worked for UT Extension for over 30 years now. I was raised on a dairy farm, a century plus farm. It's still in operation, the only one in our county, Granger County. I came to school and got a degree in ag economics, and that's where my background is. But one of the things that really transformed me in extension was taking this knowledge and being able to transfer and to teach it to other people. And I don't think that matters whether it's ag economics or computers or whatever. I had a knack for the technology part of it and switched over into this role, and that's what my job is now. I support our extension staff that we have, through our region and across the state, but it's also a great opportunity and fun to be able to work with our individual producers. I got to do that yesterday at a greenhouse, so a lot of fun that still touch back to those roots. So if we want to go ahead and get started, I'm going to swap over and change the screen. And I've got a PowerPoint I'm going to go through, and I've captured some things on here because you never know about technology, how it's going to work. But we want to look at Adobe Express, and this may be something totally new to you. Now, most of us, when we hear the word Adobe, we think of those interactive forms that are on websites. The IRS uses Adobe for all of its tax forms and things. So you've probably seen that a lot. I like to think of that Adobe Acrobat program. It's sort of like making a copy of something to where then I'm not allowed to change the contents of it, except only what the things that are allowed to be changed. But Adobe as a company is much, much more than that. We hear the word Photoshop, that gets into editing photographs and things, but there's a wealth of other programs that the company has developed and supported. And Adobe Express is it's a new program, but it's a little bit old. What they did was take three older programs and they sort of repackaged and combined them together. So we're going to find out and see a lot of the great things that this Adobe Express can do. If you are a Canva user now, you're going to say, well, this is pretty much the same thing, and it is. Canva and Adobe Express are very similar to each other, but they both have some things that maybe they do a little bit better versus, one over the other, but they're very similar. We have been using this simply because I had been using some of the components earlier, and it migrated into this new program, and it just added many, many new features to it. What I've got loaded up is a very short video. It's sort of like a music video type thing, and it goes over the things that Adobe Express will do. Now, it's very fast-paced. This is not for value-added agriculture or anything like that. It's very general, but it gives you some ideas if you open your mind of some really big things that Adobe can do.
Watch out, I'm on a roll now. I got that rhythm beating from my head to toes now. Spotlight, I'm shining so bright. I got that electricity all up in my vibe. I got that sunny day with lemonade. I'm gonna level up, I set the pace. I do it freestyling on my way. And I do it how I do it, and that's just how I do it. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. I got a good, good feeling, good, good feeling. La la la, la la la, la la la, la la la, yeah, yeah, yeah. I got a good, good feeling, good, good feeling.
It's pretty fast. Um, Probably not what you and I would create and everything, but again, this is to give you some ideas and to really look at some possibilities sort of outside the box. I really like this statement, and this is from Adobe talking about Express. It lets you build standout content that anyone can create, especially non-designers. And that really hits home for me when I think about myself. I think about all of our producers, farmers that we have throughout the region, and to think about we're not designers. This is not our full-time job, but I need a tool, to quickly go in and create things. You think about people on social media, we have teenagers that are creating all of this content. And it's like, well, if they can do it, I should be able to do this too. So I think this is a great tool, and we'll see some of the things that it's able to do for us. Now, there is some hot breaking news about Adobe Express. And right now, as of today, July the 11th, that we're recording this, there are actually two versions of the Adobe Express available. There is the prior traditional version that I'll be going over today, but they are releasing in a beta version, which means it's sort of test. It's not full blown ready for the world. It's still called Adobe Express, but it includes 25 new features. And one of those features is artificial intelligence. And where we have seen that with Chat GPT, and you've seen that in the news a lot, it's basically you can give it a description of sort of what you're wanting. And with its artificial intelligence, it will come in and it will create that. Now, whether that's exactly what you wanted may or may not be right, but it will be another tool that we'll have available to us. It is still beta, so it's not what I would consider just rock solid yet. It would be something that you could come in and sort of play around with. But as far as the nuts and bolts of doing some of the work with Adobe Express, I would stay with the traditional version, and I'll show you the difference of that, where you come in and look at those. So let's look at what Adobe Express is. It allows you to create graphics, posters, banners, that type of thing for social media, for just visual, to put on a TV screen to have, at your place of business. You can actually take this and download it and actually print posters, flyers, brochures, that kind of thing with it. One of the things that I have found extremely helpful to me has been it's able to come in and create a QR code. And the problem, and I'll tell you a quick story. One of our producers, They had created signs in their greenhouse, so it would have a QR code that somebody could take a smartphone, take a picture of it, and it would then redirect them to a web page that would have information about that particular plant, etc. And they went to Google, they, you know, just Googled free QR code maker or whatever, and it picked one. This looked good. It did, you know, all of this. What they found out is that after someone had used that code, I think it was about 20 or 25 times, then it came back and said, oh, now you need to pay for this. And they had thought they were getting something for free. So it sort of goes back and forth, you know, free is good, but sometimes free is not actually free. And in that particular case, it wasn't. The QR code part is built within the premium version of Adobe Express. So you do have to pay for it eventually, but there are QR codes that you could use hundreds and hundreds of times. And then think about, how can I use a QR code to direct people to that additional information? So again, one little part of it. Now, one thing that's really nice about Adobe Express is that it can be used to create very short videos. And again, those videos could then be pushed out to your social media. And when we're talking about creating short videos, well, you can create a short video with really anything. You can just hold out your smartphone and create the video. But if you're wanting to edit the video, you know, take out some of the ums and ahs, you're doing the countdown, the 3, 2, 1. You can use this to edit some of that out and then add some other things to it. That was a tool that was in the earlier version of before Adobe Express became that, but you can get into it. And what's nice about that is that Adobe Express has a mobile version and a web version, which we'll look at. And you can basically grab things that you've used and captured on a smartphone and bring them in and then refine those a little bit more. Again, being able to download and just use purely in the digital format, or you can print information from Adobe Express. There are many, many, many pre-designed templates to start from. So if you don't have that total creative bug inbred in you, you can get that jump start and then just edit the information from there. Or if you wanted to start from just a blank sheet of paper, you can do that as well. And I think, you know, one of the probably most useful things I have seen about Adobe Express is having that web and the mobile version, and those two things are going to tie together. So let's get down to some nuts and bolts. I'm always about money and know what things cost. And with Adobe Express, there is a totally free version. And you can go to the site and you will have to create an account. I'll show you some options that you have with that. It's really easy. But with the free version, you're going to get thousands of templates and design elements that are going to be there. You're going to get a limited collection of royalty-free Adobe stock photos. And I think this is probably the highlight of any of the Adobe products, that Adobe is known for having a very rich and vast stock photo selection that is they have built and acquired over the years. Now, most of these are going to be royalty free, meaning you can use them. You do have to be aware that in some cases of how you're using the photos, that you may have to or you should be paying for those, a royalty fee, and you might get a strike back at something if you used any image and it wasn't licensed to where you're able to use it. So again, keep that in mind. And that's not just with Adobe Express, that's with any thing that you're creating, especially if you're creating it and you're looking to sell a product, you're making a profit off of it. People want their part of it back. One of what I would almost consider sort of a added bonus feature, but it comes with the free version, is that you can remove the background from images. So if we think about, if you have an image of some people and you just want the people, you can actually come in and click and it will remove all the background around it. And I'll show you a demo of that. It's really cool. And that's something that Photoshop can do, but you've got to be skilled to be able to do this. This is just like bring the picture in and click the button and it happens. So if you have some of those photos and you just want to be able to use the people part of it and use it somewhere else, that takes care of it for you. You can do some animated images, and that really is neat for some of your social media needs, to be able to create a graphic and maybe it has text coming in. It just gives that sense of motion. You do have the web and the mobile site available to you, and you have a 2 GB cloud storage account that comes with it as you sign up. Now, 2 gig sounds like a lot, but now you can use that up very quickly. But you do have that starting point. And the reason that you want the cloud storage is when you start or create something on your mobile device, you can then log on to a desktop or a laptop, and then you could continue to work on that material too. So it will reverse back to the mobile. So it gives you that flow of going back and forth, of being able to capture your information on different platforms, but still have it all together. So that was the free version. And again, if you're just curious about this, start with free. Check it out. It's no problem. If you decide that you want to upgrade and go to the premium version, you're more than welcome to do that. And it's not going to mess anything up at all. It'll just move your account over to that. So start with free, then move on up. So what does the premium version, what does it cost and what does it give me? Well, with premium, you're going to get more templates. You're going to get more design elements. You're going to get 20,000 fonts. You're going to get the full royalty-free library of 160 million stock images. Now, I will warn you that probably, and this happens to so many of us, there may be 160 million stock images, but there may not be the stock image that you think that you're looking for. So especially with agricultural type things, we're probably a little bit more limited there. You're going to have some more design tools. We've got that remove the background tool, but it's going to add some more things to it. One of the things that I think is very exciting, that would be something to really consider from Adobe Express, is that you can actually create some of your social media content, create it within Adobe Express, and then you can schedule it to post on your social media feeds. So you can link your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, those type of accounts to this. And then as you create different projects, you can then say, well, I want this to post on Friday morning at 8 a.m. And you don't have to do anything. You've already done it. So it's great. It also has a lot of easy branding. And what we mean by this easy branding is that you can come in, you can load up your logo for your business. If you have a color palette that you use most of the time, you can preload these colors up and things. And then as you start to create things, you can go to brands and basically say, brand this post to my logo and colors. And in a snap, it will do that. So it's something to whereas you can load things up one time and then have them available to where you'll be able to use them over the platform. It does allow you convert and to export to PDF files, which is, it's important for visual and for print, but it adds a few more little extra things for that. Your cloud storage jumps from 2 gigabytes to 100 gigabytes. So you've got a lot of storage. And if you think about if you're going to capture photos and different things, especially from your smartphone, you can start to burn through that storage. So what does all of these extra things give you and how much they cost? Well, if you look at the total sum, if you pay for it on a monthly basis, you will pay $9.99 a month, and they would bill it every month. Or you can prepay and buy a year's worth of access, and it's $99.99. So you save about $20 by doing that. But again, start out with free, see what that gets you. And then you can come back in, and if you see that there's some of those extra premium things that you want to buy, you can then always, try it for a month and see how it is. Now, how do you come in and log in to Adobe Express? Now, if you have a smartphone, a tablet, there is an actual app for it, and you can then go and download that app and you would sign into it. If you're on a laptop or desktop, if you'll just go to www.adobe.com/express, that takes you directly to the website. This is all web-based. There's no program to download or install. So as long as you have internet access to your computer, you've got access to your Adobe Express. Now, I talked about in the breaking news, there's 2 versions of it, and they are really hyping up this beta version right now. What I have found out, it's like the beta version has a different login than the traditional version. So it was like, okay, well, which one do you do? I would suggest for right now, if you're just looking at it, start out with the earlier version of it. And then as this beta version comes out, they'll migrate it all together. But for right now, if you come in and you go to the Adobe Express page, it's really pumping all about the beta, but just look right down below that. And there's a link that says already a user, sign in here for prior version. That will take you to a page, and that gives you the different options you have to log into Adobe Express. Now, if any of you are already a teacher, your school system may have a license for Adobe Express. At the University of Tennessee, we can purchase one, and a lot of us have that. They are very student-centered too. So again, there's a lot of students in school. So you may have a high school student in your household that may already have access to Adobe Express. So those are things to explore. If not, you can log into Adobe Express using your credentials with Google or with Facebook, with an Apple ID, or you can then create that account using an email address, or if you had an Adobe ID. You may have an Adobe ID, but you probably don't realize it. So usually Google, Facebook, Apple, or your email would be the 4 most common ones that you'll use in coming with that. Now, I have screenshots of the main things about Adobe Express. I'm going to jump out, and instead of showing those, which will be in the notes that you'll receive after the presentation's over. So again, if there was something that doesn't work, we can always come back and get to that. But I'm going to try to swap on over and do this live within the Adobe Express website. So let me stop my share, and then we'll come right back onto it. And there you are with my Adobe Express screen. I've already logged into it. I am a premium member, and it's going to show that up in the top hand corner. Now, what you'll see if you're a basic member versus a premium member, there's going to be items that will be listed throughout this website, and they have a little crown icon that will be usually in the lower left or right of the image. And that just means this is a premium feature that you have. And if you're logged in as a premium member, you can use it. If you select that and you're not a premium member, it'll come up with a little window and says, hey, you have to be a premium member to use this. Do you want to upgrade now? Or you could click off of it and then pick something else. And when you go in and sort things, I believe you can come in and say, only bring me the free items, if that's where you were starting at. So on this main navigation screen, there will be a list of icons over here on the left-hand side, and we're going to start at the home. It gives you different starting points. You want to create a new project, and it will have different options for you to begin with. So I can come through and I see flyers and infographic. We have worksheets, resumes, lesson plans, report cards. Again, these are just suggested starting points. Again, if you want to come in and use a custom size, you're going to design a banner that you are going to have printed for your business. You could start with a custom size and again, put in those dimensions of what you were going to have it to be, and then start to lay those elements on it. Down at the lower part of this, I'll bring that up a little bit, we have some quick actions, and they're divided into these categories. Now, the most popular quick actions, they're talking about either images to where we need to resize, edit, do something to that. We have some conversions, and then we get into some video type options that we have. It will divide those closer down to just actions that you're going to use for images, actions to use just for videos. And as I mentioned before, there's a place to generate a QR code. So if you wanted to generate a QR code, I can pop on that. And what it will ask for is, what is the URL, the website address that you want to point this QR code to? All a QR code, think of it as a direction sign. You're directing people to a specific place to go. That's all it is. So you have the website in, And then we have some options. You can either make it more the square or make it more the dots. I guess I see more of the squarey ones. You can then pick what color that you want. And then the file type is that you can then save this as a PNG file. That's a graphics file that has a transparent background. You can download it as the JPEG file. That's again a lot for print. PNG, you'll see more as video or just visual only. Either one of them can be printed. Either one of them can be used and vice versa. A PNG file is smaller and usually doesn't have as high resolution, where a JPEG file will be a little bit larger. The SVG, I don't use that. I think that's for Mac, but I'm not going to say that 100%. You put in your information here, you select your file type, your options here, and then what it will do is it downloads this as a graphics file. And then you can use it either within Adobe Express, or you can take that file and use it in any other program that you have. But it creates this QR code immediately, and there's no limit to how many times it can be used. So I think that's one of my favorite tools that I see within Adobe Express, thinking about it from a graphics, standpoint. As I come down, there are searches and different suggestions, and these change based on the time of the year. At Christmas, you'll see a lot of Christmas options for you. And all of these are where you can then highlight on them and then just click on the start from, and it will open up that entire pre-designed format. And then you can come in and you can start to work with it. So instead of starting with a blank sheet of page, you can come in and you can click on any of the different images and parts of it, and you can change that. You could delete things. You can add things. It will give you options over to the side to where you can do that. It's really where that creative component of your personality comes into play, and you start to figure out, okay, well, what do I want this to say? But with so much of this, and where you get that head start, is that if you can pick a design that you like, I like 75% of this, you can easily change that other 25%. And that 25% could be probably more than likely the actual text on the page. It could be changing the color. It could be changing the font, the background, any of those things. So you could take a starting point and really massage it into something that's more yours. And again, once you create that, it saves it. And if you, instead of starting from scratch the next time, you can take that existing design that you've created, make a copy of it, and then create something else on top of that. So really, really powerful what you can do. Let me go back to home. Like, we don't need to save that right now because we were just looking at it. And I want to explore these icons that we have over on the left-hand side of the page. We've got our home. That's where we're at now. If I come down to projects and I select that, my projects icon, think of this as your library. This is where we're storing all of our designs that we've created. So this projects is going to save all of your, whether it's a print, whether it's just for social media, or whether it's video. All of that is going to live here. So when we talk about that 2 gigabytes a free storage space with the free account, or the 100 gigabytes of storage with the premium account, the majority of what's taking your space up right here. It's not all of it, but that's a big part of it. So any of the things that you have created. So I had created a project earlier, and I'm just going to open to edit. And this was thinking about strawberries. So if I was raising strawberries and I wanted to put out on my social media, you know, maybe we're having a strawberry festival. Maybe we're talking about we're bringing strawberries to the local farmers market. I could come in, and this was already pre-designed to where I had, you know, it's brought in this high quality photograph of strawberries, you know, that just makes you want to grab through the screen and bite into one. And then I can come down to the bottom or any part of it, and I can change the text. I can actually change the text. So instead of please join us, come and visit. And as I type that, it changes on the screen. Any of the colors that you have, and I had messed around with this earlier, it's in a black. I can come in and it has been grouped together. I can just ungroup it and I can look at each part of it, and I could come in and I could change the color of it. I want to see, well, what does it look like if it was white? It might show up, you know, better within the framework of what I'm doing based on what my background color, etc. is. So any of this, you know, it was real easy. I just came and opened the project and I could continue to work, you know, do things. I can delete. I have always that delete button there too. Let's go back to home yet again. And I want to visit my brands section. Now I spoke about and this is a premium part of it. Projects, that's part of no matter what version you get. One of the things that you get with premium is the brands. And with the brands, that's where you can come in and upload if you already have logos. Someone's already designed those. You can then upload those logos into your account. Now, this is another thing that will take up part of that space that you have. Typically, these aren't going to be super large, so your projects will take up more of your space than anything. We also have the option to where we can preload some of our colors. So if we have a color palette that we're going to use, we can go in and add those to where they're just ready to go. And then if there are certain fonts that you are going to use over and over again, you can come in and you can preload those. Adobe has thousands and thousands of fonts. They do a great job with fonts. They do a great job with stock photography. So with that branding option, we can come in and we can have these preloaded to where they're just easily accessible as we come in and create those projects. And just what we see down here, you know, branded templates, your starting point to create on-brand content. You know, it's easy. And it's really just, you don't have to look for things. They're already there. And then next to the last, I'm going to look at libraries. The library is just that. A library is a place where we store things. You know, we think of storing books, but libraries are also the places that we're going to store the images that we are using. So if there's an image and it's not already built within Adobe, but we need to grab it from somewhere else, those would be the photographs that we've taken, some other clip art, that type of thing that, maybe somebody else has designed for us. We would come in and we would upload it into our account. So this is the third part that takes up part of your storage room with your account. But I wanted to use a QR code that I had actually created. Well, I download it. And then if I want to use it in Adobe Express, I have to re-upload it back into my image library. And you can create different folders or different drawers. So if you had different projects going on, you could, instead of dumping everything into one place and trying to figure out where it is, you could then section it into those different drawers or different folders to where you can find it a lot easier. But these were just a few of the images that I had been playing around with, that it's like, these aren't available already in Adobe, but I need to use them within my Adobe Express program. So how do I come in and grab those? So I had to get them from somewhere else, or the QR codes, they were created, but I have to bring them back into Adobe Express to use them in a project. The final thing from our navigation that we have over to the side, and this is a new item that has come in, and it's talking about using Adobe Express to come in and to schedule your social media post. And what we would have is to where I would connect my Twitter profile, my Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, or LinkedIn. These are the 5 that it will do. And you can then connect. You'll need your login information, your password, and you can then make that connection between those to Adobe Express. And then as you come in and create these posts and this content within Adobe Express, you can then drop it down, and it's like, okay, on Saturday the 15th, I want a new post that's going to be on Instagram. And you would bring that in, and then you would set the time and the date that you would want it to actually go live on that social media feed. So this is a premium part of it. And there's other programs that do, things just like this, but really to use all of them, they all have a cost too. So it's sort of like, in my opinion, I'm going to take my resource money that I have available to do graphics and my social media and stuff, and maybe I pool it together, and it's like I can have one product and it's going to do, 2 or 3 different things for me. I think it's pretty cool. I have not explored this as much as I would like to, simply because I don't have the social media, all of those social media accounts really to do. But I'm working with a friend of mine, and I'm hoping this is a project that we can do together. So that looked at all of it. Let me come back to the top. And as we look at those different items that we have within here, as you come in, and if I go to my projects and I open up this animate example, and just like all, programs that you deal with, typically they are select to effect. So you'll have options that are over on the left-hand side that you can come in. So you wanted to add new text, you wanted to change the template. The discover is that it comes in and you can type in sweet corn. And then it will come in and it will bring in things that it thinks, would be similar to that. So you can then come through and you can look at templates that are pre-designed. You can look at text that it thinks deals with sweet corn, and then it would look at the photos, design assets, and backgrounds. So if you have sort of a general idea, the discover option brings all of the different components together. Really nice about how it will just brings it, and that's not using artificial intelligence. It would be something similar to that. We talked about having animated graphics and that type of thing. And that's one example that I picked this from, is because as I create this and I look at the text, I can come in and I can change each component of this text, what it says here. I can change the text up at the top. And then we also have the options that we can come in. Oops, let me close that out. And then from the right-hand side, we have more options to where we can come in and we can look at changing the color palette that we have. The animation, it's picking what elements on the page that we want to animate, and then how do we want it to animate. So you have different options, whether it's text or whether it's photos, how that's going to operate and be. Changing the layout, again, giving you those defined type things. Canva's very similar, PowerPoint very similar, all of those. We have those basic common design elements that are built within this. I can come in and I can resize this. So they have preset sizes to whether you're doing an Instagram post or an Instagram story, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube thumbnail, LinkedIn, blog post. All of these are built into it. And it's got from looking at from a social media, basically it's only going to be visual, down into print sizes. We can do all of that together. So having all of this, it's basically this one catch-all where we have all of this information together. Now, before I switch back over, we talked about we had a desktop version of it, and we have a mobile version of it. So let me show you what the mobile version looks like. I have this pulled up on my iPad, and I have it on the iPad just because it's a bigger screen to see this, but you can also use this on a mobile phone as well. So let me swap on over and get to the iPad version of it. And takes it just a second to connect. There we go. Off of that. And so now this is Adobe Express. This is an app that I had. I have logged into it, and it has many of those same features that you'll have from the desktop, laptop or desktop, and doing it through the web. It's got the pre-designed items up here at the top that we can go through. And then looking at the items that we have down here at the bottom, again, categories and categories and categories and categories of all of these. One thing that is a little different, and it's talking about video. The video part of it, you can edit and do some of the video on the desktop of it, but there's some of the things that it's available on the mobile version. And I wanted to show you a little graphic that I created. Now, whether this will show up exactly through Zoom, we'll just see. But we had an extension conference back in November. And one of the things, our theme was trains. We had it in Chattanooga. I had an opportunity to be on a train earlier that year, and I shot this video of just looking out at the back of the train. And this is something you could take some video that you had shot on your mobile device, and it just loops back and forth. So what it is, it's the video is sort of in the back, and then I added some logos and text to it, and it will play for 15 seconds. So this is something, again, you could post on social media, and it's going to have that movement to it. So I've used the animated text. I've used the video that's doing that. So it's a really, it took probably 15 minutes to pull all of this together. It took more time just to grab all the logos and that type of thing. And that was something that you can do 100% on your mobile device, and then save it, to your cloud account. And then when you come back up, you can grab hold of all of that. So really, really cool. I want to come in and finish up with a few more slides. And then if there'll be any questions, we can take care of those. So I just want to point out there are some differences between the mobile and the desktop version. You're using your cloud account to store your items. And if you create something and start it in one, you can finish it in the other. I think that's very important. Adding those 15-second videos, that can only be done on a mobile device. So again, sort of having both options available are really beneficial to you. And especially as you've taken photographs with your mobile device, being able to pop those back in, whether it be the mobile or the desktop. The mobile device does not let you do the background removal. And I can show that at the end, but that's a really easy tool to use. But you can't do that on mobile, it has to be on the desktop. These are my suggestions for some tips and things. Being able to remove that background, and it's basically bringing in a photo and click on the background remove, and boom, it's done. Any of this, being able to just drag and move any of your components, whether that's text boxes, photos, graphics, or any of that, it's just coming in and drag. You can double click to change text. That's easy to do too. Being able to delete items is just select it and either press the trash can icon or press the delete key. Changing those background colors and things, again, very quick and easy to do. Being able to download those projects. If you have the pro version, you can actually share it with others to collaborate with. So someone else that has an account, you can go back and forth with that. With your projects, those can be downloaded as PNG files, and those are the ones that have the transparent backgrounds, or the JPEG files. It will have a white background behind it. Being able to export it to a PDF file. And one of the differences between Canva and Adobe, and whether it would matter in your situation, again, it depends. when you download a PDF file using the premium version, it will have the file unflattened, so there's all the different layers. That makes a difference to your people that are printing and doing graphics and things like that. The QR codes, I'm big fan. And, you know, if you're not sure about it, go to YouTube and search for tutorials about Adobe Express, and you can find a great value and quantity of items that will tell you how to do this, how to do that. You know, pros and cons of Canva versus Adobe Express, things like that. And the last thing is that if you wanted to go straight to the video editing part of Adobe Express, you can get to it with that URL. It's just adobe.com/express/create/video. It's a little bit long. You can always save it as a bookmark. But one of the programs that came before Adobe Express was called Adobe Spark, and it's designed to make short. And when I talk about short, I'm talking about 15, 30 to 2-minute type videos. And it will let you bring in still photos, actual video, moving images, add in text and transitions, and make a really quick and short marketing video, and it's almost instant. We've done a quick overview of Adobe Express. There's a lot to it, but I would be glad to entertain any questions that you have. I think, Elena, they have that option to type in their questions.
Yes, so you guys should be able to do that if you have any. You should also see an option to raise your hand if you need to do that. So if you guys have any kind of questions or anything, feel free to ask those now. I'm kind of looking here.
And if you're thinking about, I can show you real quick the come in and remove the background. It's scary about how it will do it so quick and easy. My screen, and I just went to the home page and just using the quick action remove background. Now they have a sample image. I can pick it, and it just gives it a, you know, a minute or less. And that was a real clean photo, but you know, to be able to get that cutout of just those people, you know, and to be able to save that and then to use it somewhere else in another part of your program. Here's one. This is a real live image. And this was taken a few weeks ago. And it's just 3 of my coworkers, we were at our banquet, and you look how it left the salad in front of Larry, which I find sort of amusing, but all of the other background it took out. Now, if you're using the desktop version, you know, you could go in and wipe out and get rid of the plate in front of him, or you could come in and it's like, I only wanted Shannon, who's actually on the left. You know, you could actually grab her out of it, or Melody or Larry, either one of those. So pretty cool of what it will do.
Yes, awesome. I'm glad you showed that. So if you guys don't have any more questions, I will go ahead. I'm going to share our attendance survey screen. If you've been with us before, you know the drill. If this is your first time and you're looking to get TAEP credit for the Ag Enhancement Program, you will need to fill this survey out. And even if you're not, we ask that you fill that out for us. And our next session will be on August the 8th. Our speaker for our next session will be announced hopefully shortly, so keep an eye out on social media and on our CPA site for that info. But thank you to David for this great presentation today, and be on the lookout for this recording. I'll get it up on YouTube and also share his slides in an email to you guys later today. So awesome. Thank you guys so much. Have a good day.